All right, all right, all right. Man, if we got through, guess what? I'm going to change this to week 4, session 2 because I forgot to do that. Typo, typo. Liana, I'm going to have to give you new slides here. Sorry about that. Thought I got them all, but this is week 4, session 2 of the Copywriter Blueprint, and giving you the power of near instant persuasion and the booty of captic ecstatic clients. Still like that subject line, man. That subheadline is pretty damn good. Boy, we had an interesting, way diverse conversation at 8 a.m. So in case you're wondering, we bumped it all the way up to 8 a.m. now. We'd love to have as many of you on that call as possible. I'm going to beg and borrow and steal and try to get all 30 of the members of this class on a call all at the same time. And two of these guys are friends of mine that have yet to be on one call. I get it. They're famous. They're big. They got, they're running major companies. I'm still going to bribe them to get on the call somehow or another. So we can get everyone on this call all at the same time. We have great conversations. And I just mentioned today, just a little hint, little teaser there in case you're interested. Happy to have you guys back here. This is John Vincent again with the Copywriter Blueprint. And today we're going to dive into our hot seats next. Then I'm going to teach you guys some cool stuff. We're going to dissect some letters. I'm going to teach you a couple of things that were taught at the Copywriter Telethon. I think the most important thing taught at the Copywriter Telethon, the recording is only for those that donated to the great cause. We way surpassed our margins. Thank you. That being said, I do want to at least pass on the most important thing I learned from it and give you some examples from my own writings of that exact technique that Chris Haddad and it was Chris and forget who, Paris Lampropolis, which is how I pronounce his last name because I can't. It's a technique of entering a story, starting your VSL or your sales letter in the middle of a story, and why that's so cool. All right. So, but first, we're going to get to the hot seats. And Leanne, we have, or Liana, I don't know who's here this morning.
I
So,
am here, but are you sharing your screen?
oh, I am. I'm supposed to be.
Because I'm not seeing anything. I wonder if it's just my
Oh,
connection.
you have to make me a presenter. Yeah, yeah, I'm sitting here not as presenter. So here you go. It's all my fault. Okay. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's okay. We'll just start this right now. Hey, welcome to Copywriter Blueprint session 2. I'm gonna go back and go, see, there we go. There we are. Welcome. In case this is going on, welcome to week 4, session 2, Copywriter Blueprint. And if the audio's kept, that's great because I was talking about some pretty juicy things. We're gonna get to the homework hot seats, and who might they be? Leanne, who is on the hot seat today?
That is a good question. Let me give me 1 sec.
I believe Liana sent that over to us this morning. Bear with us. Oh, actually, she did. So awesome. Here's the Google link to the homework folder. I'm going there now because yes, we're together. We got so caught up in that whole thing. So
Derek
it's
and Brennan. Derek
yeah,
and Brennan.
Derek and Brendan. Now, we also have Tim and Joel. Now, I don't know if Tim and Joel, as far as I know, Tim, I can't remember if Tim's been on a hot seat. Joel, I'm almost positive hasn't been on a hot seat. So Derek and Brendan, you guys have both been on hot seats before, right? That's probably true. So Leanne, let me know if that's true. But I did get the message from Liana saying it was Derek and Brennan, but not to be rude to you guys at all, but we're trying to get as many people on hot seats as possible. And Tim, can you please unmute Tim and let him know, has he been on a hot seat?
All right, Derek says he has. Brennan says he has. So let me unmute Tim. Tim, you are unmuted.
Yeah, John, I've been on. I was on last week.
Oh, okay. Boy, my memory is fading. Okay, Tim, well, thanks for the honesty. Okay, well, Joel, how about you? Joel, have you been on?
Where's Joel? Joel's not here today.
Okay, well, Joel, you lose out, my man. This is why it pays to show up to the class. But but okay, so it's down between the three of you. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this the scientific way. I'm flipping a coin. Okay. So we're gonna choose between and can someone mute there? I don't know. It's getting we're getting picking up some background noise there. We're gonna flip here, and the Perrier bottle cap open is gonna be we're gonna flip twice. So I'll go between Tim and Brennan, and it is Tim. Tim, you won. So now it's between Tim and Derek. And Derek. Derek won the first hot seat, and then we'll go between Tim and Brendan. That's kind of fun. We should do this thing. Only we should do this by death sword, don't you think? Like, we should be duel to the death. Like, All right, Derek, you on? You up for it?
You unmuted Brennan, not Derek.
All right. Can you unmute Derek, please? Leanne?
Yep. How's it going?
Oh, and I'm sitting there muted. All right,
Okay.
Derek, you
All
are
right.
live.
Cool. Okay, Derek. So we're gonna get this here. That was, I don't think I've ever flipped a bottle cap before, but that was a kind of an interesting experience. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Secondary goals. Seem to go all day with secondary goals, right track. Okay, hopefully we're not having some sort of problem getting to your niche here. Nope. Okay, we're not. So again. Okay. All right, let's get to this here. So we're gonna get to your goals. We're gonna go through them. By the way, we're not, I believe I've already made comments of these. This is great. I think I said the same thing. We got to get the topic in here. So the topic of this is when you see this in any sort of email, you're going to get, or whatever, why it's such an important thing to do. So become a best-selling author. Absolutely. Primary goal, without a doubt. There's nothing complicated here. Okay. Succeed as an author, write for a living. And let's look at your last one here. Have a thriving online business. This is not a primary goal for these people, probably. That's probably a secondary goal. So again, primary goals are what do they, unless you're talking to online marketers who happen to also want to write books, then that's different.
So John, what I was doing here, and you could tell me if this is on track or not, I was mixing in thinking some of these might be different avatars. Some of them might be more the online entrepreneur who wants to write a book, and some of it might be more for people who are just strictly authors. And so it's kind of like mixing in some of those different goals.
Yeah, so let me show you what you want to do in that situation. And for everyone else, I'm going to show you the same thing here. If you come over here to the niches and you look at the niche, this is my niches right here. I would just come over here and click this button. Copy. So I'd fill out this entire avatar, the one that we were just looking at over here. Go over to goals here. I'd fill out this whole thing and then clone it and then make a version of this that is unless, now let me give you unless. I use this trip all the time, but I completely know what I'm doing with it. In other words, I know that that the primary goal for someone in Fit Over 40 is not to see their abs, for example. Most people over 40 don't care about seeing their abs. I mean, I certainly do, a lot of people, but a lot of people don't. So getting their hormones restored, not a big major goal for people in every other day diet or 4-day diet. But I know that it is a primary goal for some people. But so what I do is I put those in secondary goals, or I put them in primary goals and just know that I'm going, when I get to the editor, I'm going to click and edit it. So you're totally cool to do that. But just know that that thriving business and dreams, this live your dream come true life, that's definitely not a primary goal. When people wake up in the morning, they're not thinking those words. They're thinking the words of, I need to become a best-selling author. And when they do that, they can live their dream life. Okay. Do you see how that works? You can live your dream life. Yeah. And by the way, I would say live your dream life, like just myself, I would make that shorter. So one of our goals is to live your dream life or live. How about this? Check this out. Do you mind if I edit?
Go for it.
Okay. So what if you live the life of your dreams? So you don't need to have the pronoun field. These are optional fields. Remember, those are always optional. You can leave them blank. So if I live the life of your dreams, now all of these will change. Live the life of their dreams, live the life of my dreams, etc. So these would all change based on the pronoun that you would use. But let's talk about this, because this whole thing called topic here is going to be really important. And let's take your I'm going to save this. You can edit it back if you want to. I'm going to take this, succeed as an author, okay? Or rather become a best-selling author, because this is your best one. And this is the most obvious. And guys, primary goal, the most obvious one is usually it, as we're going to see up here with these different stuff we're going to do today, different ads we're going to look at. These are not complicated. The primary goals are pretty straightforward. It's the secondary goals that get tricky. The secondary goals is everything else they want along with that, right? So my number one goal is to become a best-selling author, period. That's awesome. What is the topic of this, Derek? Because it isn't 9 times out of 10, it ain't the same thing. It's definitely not, because you only got 2 words, 3 max. 1 word is even better, but definitely I use 2 all the time, so that's okay. So what's the topic here that's centered around the idea of becoming a best-selling author, that you would start a sentence as like, hey, speaking of blank, I've got some good information to share. How about you filling that speaking of blank?
For the speaking of selling books, or speaking of book sales.
Oh, beautiful, because I was going to catch you on the selling books, because what is that?
That was something else. I don't remember which one it was.
Right here. The instructions are always right here.
Oh, no verbs. Yep. Selling is a verb.
Right. So book sales. Okay, book sales. That's not bad. Okay. When book sales goals are met, could book sales success just be around the corner? Yeah. So this is awesome. So you could say, speaking of this, is where I really want you to do the homework. Come up with different ones for each one of these. Dive in a little deeper, because these topics are hard. These topics take a little bit of finagling, but book sales is great. So, now what's another way of saying that? Because if someone's a best-selling author, what's another way of saying that?
John, with something about, oh, can I pipe in or should I not?
How about that one, Derek?
That's good.
Okay, I was just saying, so you want to think about, could writing success be just now obviously this doesn't work here because of this sentence, that's kind of silly. But these are just meant to be, you remember, you only have to get 2 or 3 of those right. But yeah, so writing success, or speaking of writing, you could literally just say writing, right? Okay, so because you can, and you'll see these in context when you start generating emails and sales letters of how you'd want to say it. But you can, this is how I want you guys to be thinking of topics. Very, very important to think big picture here, but also you can get really clever. Now in the videos, please watch the videos on this, because my video on the topic stuff is good. And I go through a lot of different tricks on how I come up with different topics. So make this an assignment to watch this video tonight, okay? This is a video that you should watch. It's only 3 minutes long, so do watch it. Okay, you're saying, Leanne?
Yeah, how about, I was playing with the word authority, right? Because when you become a best-selling author, your authority and your credibility goes way up, but it doesn't work in topic.
Authority, author authority. I'm going to say author authority. How's that for like some kind of, so yeah, so you got to play around with it. It sort of works, it sort of doesn't. Author authority success. Okay, but I know what you're trying to say, but but yeah, you could literally say writing, but you want to have a topic that, but the reason why we say that is because we use those words all the time. Use them all the time. So it's a little bit tricky. That's why this is the only hard part about the primary goals, is coming up with topics. And I'm asking you guys to do this now, because if you go through Copywriter Academy, you have to do it all. But it's just going to be really good to do this. So let's look at your secondary goals. We only got a few minutes left here, real quick. Share your writing with the world. That's a pretty good one. Become a best-selling author and share your writing with the world. So if you heard that, if you become a best-selling author and get to share your writing with the world, life will be better. That sounds great. That sounds like a really good secondary goal. Do you guys see the difference here in secondary goals and primary goals? If you don't, say something. Guy, you wrote a ton, reach more readers. So I would maybe you could impact more people. Like it's not really readers you're looking for. It's you're wanting to impact their lives, right? Impact lives. So think about what if it was just impact lives, Derek?
Yeah, I like that.
Impact lives, because that's really what they want to do. Okay, publish with confidence, get paid to do what you love, make a positive impact. These are all great secondary goals, so you did really well there. But yeah, so I just want to key on the importance of completing these fields. Otherwise, you're gonna have to complete them post facto, and it's gonna be like, wait, what did I say there? So this is literally this simple. Reach more readers. You could be this. Takes me this long to do it, right? And then you get down to here. Let's talk about let's talk about, you could, this is not what I would use, but I'm going to give you an idea. I don't know why it's moving so slow right now. So like I said, that's not how I would say it, max readership, but you get the idea. And so max readership could be a really good thing here. Yeah, I forgot to put the topics in this proof, so I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. I love the month of proofing we do for software. But you get the idea. So more readers, what would that be? Here's another thing. If you reach more readers, you could be so what about the idea of life changing? How might you say that? Would it change lives? Could you say something around expanding lives without using a verb? So it's tricky. A topic will be the most amount of work that you do on anything, but it'll also be the most rewarding. Please do watch my videos on this, because again, it goes into lots of tips on how I do it. You can go to thesaurus.com is a good place to do it. So it's all good. Awesome. Okay. Well, good work, Derek. I'm going to save this here and let you come back on it.
Cool.
man.
Thanks, John.
All right. Let's go back over to.
Hey, one quick question. Would becoming a speaker be a secondary goal? Because many authors want to become speakers. Would that fit into that category?
That's a presumption that maybe that I would say something rather than becoming a speaker. It'd be like sharing your ideas from the stage or something like that. Like sharing your ideas in front of a large audience, sharing your ideas from the stage. Sharing your ideas across the world. That kind of lends that open to being that, but a lot of writers don't necessarily want to become speakers. But you could use that if you knew that was your avatar, for sure.
Right. Okay, cool.
Okay. So I'm going to flip again so we can get through our time here, because we're almost through it, and because of the technical faux pas. Okay, it's between Tim, your Perrier up, Brennan, your Perrier down. Brennan, sorry, Tim. Sorry, Tim. All right, Brennan, you better make this good. All right. And by the way, Tim, we can definitely get you in here next time for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I keep your expectations low.
All right. By the way, next time I'll try to get a quarter. All right. Let's go to the primary goals here. Okay, dominate email sales. Okay, now, the first thing that leaps out of my mind is the word dominate. That's great. And look how, okay, so you've got this part down. Dominating email sales, email marketing is the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Not different. Email marketing can also be the niche, by the way. So that probably is the niche. You just don't want to say email marketing every time. And this is where it's going to get a little tricky, because dominate email sales. Here's another way you could say this. I'm going to write this because I'm going to copy it and paste it here, but
yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. So again, you'll find places where you can say this and it works, like email domination success. That's okay. These only have to be 2 out of 3, because we're going to use them in different ways. But email domination, email marketing is going to work every single time. So you can definitely use that. But that's one way of saying it for sure. And yeah, so I would like to see you come up with a couple of different versions of your primary goal other than the different pronouns, because you're going to use this. It'll always say dominate your email sales. Dominate email sales, dominate email sales, dominate. So you're going to want to say something like, anything from like profit massively, whatever.
Keep the essentially, I only did one because I was thinking as far as, well, what's kind of like the overarching theme, which is to be the best essentially, or something like that. But then you're saying maybe just figure out other ways to essentially say something similar. So I'm not having multiple primary, because I figured the other versions would essentially be secondary goals, right? Like, or other things.
Yeah, so I'm just giving you different ways of saying crush your email marketing goals. I mean, you're using dominate as a crush. Your email marketing goals could work, and then you might have over here in the toppings, you wouldn't be email marketing, it might be goal setting.
Okay, awesome.
So you can be this, because I only got that from the word goals. Speaking of goal setting, okay. because goal setting in their mind means email marketing ipso facto. It just means it by default, right? So that's how you can get by with topics, can be really, really broad, but crush your email marketing goals, crush your email marketing competition. Now, of course, I would choose the pronoun up here. You don't have to, but I would. And the reason why, it's a lot easier to change it. Yeah, so competition. You can even say marketing competition. Now, you can make an argument for that being a secondary goal, but it's really not. This is the same thing. They want to crush their marketing competition. So goal setting. You could say speaking of what, if it's marketing competition, you could say something about other marketing.
I was like, wait a minute, just come up with this, or is that like dramatic build?
Yeah, I want you to come up with it.
Oh, okay. I would call that dominating your market.
Can't use a verb.
Okay, well then I'm gonna have to need like 20 minutes to think about this.
It's cool. It's cool. Don't worry. It's hard for me to do this on the spot. Sometimes I can bang these out like it's nothing, and sometimes I have to think about it.
But yeah, sometimes it's not, and then it's gonna take a little while.
Yeah, but you could do this. It's something as simple as this.
Or mastery, like email mastery.
Marketing mastery. Yeah, mastery is better. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I use success a lot, and then I look at the success over here. I put this in success over here all the time because I use that word, and then I remind myself marketing mastery. So marketing mastery, success, be around the corner works. All that works. Good call, Ian. Plus, it's an alliteration. So we're going to be talking more about this in the academy. It's like doing alliteration stuff, the marketing mastery. Weight loss wizardry, whatever the case may be, weight loss wonders. But the point is the topics can be kind of cool. And if you don't name these, as you know up here, because email sells, so you want to name everything. So yeah. So just an idea there. We'll look quickly at secondary goals, and we'll get into the so secondary goals. Yeah. Increase your customer engagement. Great. Okay, that's really good. So increase customer engagement is really great. Nothing too complicated there. So increasing your fan base. Yeah. I mean, I as an email marketer, or increasing your list size might also be really good. Because so you can. How about this? Rather than say increasing is one of those verbs that does work. We're actually in a project that we're going to roll out for Copy Pro 2, where we're changing all of our verbs here, because we just listed like 1,000 verbs that are common. And Leanne and I were talking about this with like, let's just take out all the average verbs and use these really juicy verbs. And you can choose from a juicy verb drop down. So it'll be things like double. Let's talk about doubling your fan base, doubling your list size. Are we getting closer to like what an email marketer would want to do?
Yeah.
Now, what if it was?
This is just me rewording it kind of for the different tenses. So this wasn't like an actual change in because you said so I have 3 separate ones, but then I kind of reworded each one a little different for each tense.
Right, and it's good. I'm taking this one specifically and saying,
okay, great. Taking
it and say increasing your fan base is one way of saying it, but doubling your list size is much more impactful. This is here's a great copy lesson, folks. You want to check this out. The great copy is one that does not ask you to imagine anything until it tells a story. So in other words, if I say I'm going to teach you a technique to double your list size, I don't have to think. When I say imagine, let me clarify that. Doesn't make you think about anything too hard. Doesn't make you think, what would that look like? I know exactly what doubling my list size would look like. Increasing my fan base, a little vague. Not bad. And it's not a bad goal. I would have that in there as a secondary goal somewhere, because somebody might want to increase their raving fan base. But even increase your raving fan base. I mean, so even putting another word in there. Now, again, you're doing everything you should be doing, which is trimming this down. But raving, we want to use things like how juicy can we make it, but also how specific can we make it. So specificity in copy rules. I mean, your first one's bang on the money. Dominate email marketing. They know, they might not know exactly what that means, but they get it close enough. So, but if I say double your list size or double your income, they get it. So they'd be thinking along those lines, and let's revisit this. But good job. Good job. Okay, cool. We're going to dive into Joshua is going to come in here, I think, and join me here for this little venture here. I believe that's I just want to show you this one. I'm not going to go into the whole letter because, to be honest with you, is even though it's a good friend of ours. Hey, Joshua Pelliser has joined our call.
Hey guys.
So say hi to everybody. So in case for those that don't know, Joshua Pelliser is the guy that started Dow Badass, and we've just pulled up a Neil Strauss letter. So what timing here? A good friend of both of ours. But since this community is now kind of on the outs, the whole idea of pickup artists and PUA stuff, I'm teaching you this as a copy technique. Okay, I'm just going to show you this headline. You can't buy this secret system unless you swear never to reveal it to anyone else. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, primary goals. We're going to show you that in the second one. I just saw this and thought it was a great headline. Okay, you can't buy the secret system. Okay. So what does that just completely automatically imply? You can't buy this system unless you swear to it. So it just makes you like, it's almost like you have to be a part of the club to get this, right? This is what this is doing, is making you be a part of the club. And this, I think, was written, I want to say by Halbert, or I don't know if Neil wrote it or not, but I know
Scott Haynes.
Scott Haynes. Yeah, Scott Haynes. Okay. So Neil is an incredible writer. Neil's an incredible writer. Wrote The Game, wrote a whole bunch of New York Times bestsellers that have nothing to do with dating. But yeah, so I just love that headline. Okay. Only 375 insiders will ever be exposed to this privately held game techniques of the man acknowledged, blah, blah, blah. So this is super high scarcity stuff, but I just love that one from the very beginning of this one. So I'm going to kick over here and show you a couple of ways to use primary goals that are really different. Okay. Really different than saying, I'm here to help you double your list size, or I'm here to help you lose weight. That's awesome. But we're going to look at different ways of doing this. Okay. We're going to cruise up here. So, all right, for people who want more, okay, the small and easy productivity quiz you can use as soon as tomorrow morning to get a lot more done with way less effort. Okay, so this is going to people that want to get a lot more done. So this is very obvious, right? But I want you to notice that this is written as a third person. So in other words, someone's writing about Jason, and I'm not sure if Jason wrote this or not, but it doesn't matter. Among other things, I get to work with Jason, working so close with Jason, I uncovered his secret. Okay, I want you guys to think about this. If ever you're stuck with what to write, interview anyone that's a friend of yours, anyone that's a client of yours, anyone that can say anything, and just do a brief interview and then write in their voice, which is what he's doing here. It's just a different way of positioning writing. So the Son of God can teach anyone to be productive. So we already know what the number one thing in this copy is. It's all about doing this. But notice what he's doing. Long form sales letters in 3 to 4 hours. Fully formatted, ready to publish. Email swaps in 15 minutes or less. Sounds like someone we know, right? Sounds like someone we know really well, because I'm doing the same thing. Now, he's productive, okay? So I want to ask you a question. Imagine the following scenario. You're able to let go of your overwhelm. You're able to breeze through your to-do list, achieve all your goals almost effortlessly. Be productive. What are these? Everyone should say, raise their hand. What are these? You can see it, right? These are all secondary goals to this. I want to be more productive. And actually, I would challenge that that's not the best primary goal. I would say that if this is going to marketers, so I want to increase my revenue as a copywriter by threefold. I want to write faster. I want to write easier. I would say something along those lines. But you're able to let go the effort, and it changed your life almost immediately. Okay, so we go from imagine up here. Imagine the following scenario. So that puts you, again, that's an NLP command. Imagine, put you into your right brain, put you into that imaginative state. Imagine you're able to let go of, you're able to breeze through blah, blah, blah. What is he doing? Please notice the words here, folks, because they're very, very important. What is he doing? Imagine. You're able, achieve. I would go so far as to say a better way to write this would be you achieve all of your goals. You're completely productive. Your mind is always present in the now. That is future pacing. That's the definition of future pacing. None of that is true for you right now as the reader, but you don't hear it that way. Your mind hears it as you are that right now, if you have what this guy is offering. Like this is an instantaneous change. The power of future pacing, which is not our lesson for today. We're talking about goals, and obviously I'm showing you the secondary goals, but the power of future pacing those goals is a samurai tactic, because what you're basically doing is you're saying, this is what your life is like today in the future, but you're taking them there in the present tense language. So he's not saying, imagine, I want you to hear the difference. Imagine the following scenario. Someday soon, you'll be able to let go of your overwhelm. After you read this course and go through everything in my system, you'll be able to breeze through your to-do list. Do you hear the difference there? One sounds a lot harder than you're already able to let go of your overwhelm. You're already able to breeze through your to-do list. It's already in the present. Sounds a lot harder, doesn't it? See you later, bro. All right. I have to say goodbye to my friend here. He had to come in and say goodbye because he's taking off to Florida. All right. So for all you listening to the course, I'm breaking character here for a moment. All right. Everybody say bye to Josh. All right.
Hi, Josh.
So if that sounds like something you would like to do, absolutely. So we just go into more and more goal stuff here. So I thought that was really cool. Now, the one we want to spend most of our time on today is this one right here, and then we're just gonna take questions, okay? This is a onslaught of nothing more than just one goal after another that is all pinned around one simple thing, okay? One simple magic move. What is John doing here? John Carlton. One thing. We've talked about this over and over and over again. I think Derek asked me on the call, what's one thing you could teach somebody? Teach them one thing. Go, okay, I'm going to teach you one thing right now that will make your copy better. Just one thing. They're immediately going to listen to you. If you say, I'm going to teach you 17 things, then you're in my course. And you're not trying to sell something because it's already sold. But no, because there might be 17 things. But in order to capture someone's attention, you need to have that one simple magic move. Okay? Even if you stink at golf right now, instantly uncork so much hidden raw power, balance, and accuracy that you can go out tomorrow and launch. And here's what they want to do. He's not saying your primary goal is what? Play better golf, get a better swing, whatever. I'm not a golfer, so I'm just assuming that's the primary goal. He doesn't have to say it. These are still primary goals worded in a way that is worded around the primary goal. So that's why I'm asking you to create more than one version, Brendan and everyone else, because you're going to create around them so you can create headlines like this. Okay. It's gonna uncork hidden power and accuracy so that you can launch a pinpoint 230-yard tee. Notice how specific that is. Everyone that was Brennan and Derek on the call on the cheat sheet, or rather cheat sheet, the homework. He's not saying so that you can go out and hit better, so that you can be an excellent golfer. Good copy is hyper specific. Now we're going through the lessons. We're letting you guys get by with increase your sales. Awesome. That's fine. That's good. You know what's even better? Double your sales. You know what's even better than that? Come home and look at an extra zero in your bank account every day. It's longer, but sometimes you want to be longer. This is where you break that long rule. You can still trim what I said down, right? Add a zero to your bank account. There you go. That's something that you can see right now. What if I told you how one simple technique that could add a zero to your bank account and do it in 7 days? I would never say that because that's probably not true, but you get the idea. I'm teaching copy here. I'm not trying to sell you anything. So that is a massive distinction in how the primary goals sometimes are worded in Copy Pro and everyone else, by the way, all the copy that, if you want to get blah blah copy, get copy that says, I want to help you. I want to help you feel better. Now, if that's a secondary goal and it's in a long list of things, it's survivable, but I want to help you feel so good you can dance again. I want to help you feel so good X. Okay. Now, here's that part in the course where I'm not even through with this letter yet, by the way, guys. But here's the part in the course where you're probably asking yourself, wait, what about choppy copy? Yeah, choppy copy is awesome, and you need to know how to do that. And guess what? check this out. On your golf game, best part, he works fast, no nonsense. Look at this. Okay, that's it. I could just scroll down here and find all the choppy copy. You need to know that you can do that. And you need to know that sometimes you just say, just dominate your golf game. Okay, that can work, right? But sometimes, and most of the time, you need to have at least one or two ways of getting super hyper specific. Launch a pinpoint 230-yard tee shot with a 3-wood. You don't get more specific than that, folks. And that's why John Carlton's one of the greatest headline writers for sure.
Hey, John?
Okay. Yeah, hold on, Liam.
Oh, sure.
Headline writing is really a lot different than, we're not trying to be super punchy in headline writings. We're not trying to be super choppy. You want to paint a picture that is impossible for them not to see. But just know that you only do that if you take your primary goals into two different directions. I want to be super to the point. I want you to dominate your golf game. I want you to master golf. I want you to master your golf swing, whatever it may be. And also say, launch a pinpoint 230-yard tee shot. So, okay, Liam, what were you saying?
I've heard John talk about this, and he knows that his golfer wants the boasting rights, the bragging rights of being able to hit a monstrous shot off the tee, even though the short game is more important because that's where the strokes are gained or lost. So he knows that that's exactly what they want, but for the reason of bragging, like he likened it to killing the mammoth. I'm the one that killed the mammoth. I'm not the one that cooked it and dressed it. I shot that bastard. So
Right.
there's also like a raise in status, right? If you're the guy that can hit that pinpoint, you're the guy everyone's going to talk about. So it's
Absolutely. Yeah. And you don't get a raise in status by thinking, I'm going to help you dominate golf. Now, again, we're teaching techniques because you want to be able to say, you'll dominate golf. You'll dominate your golf game. You'll dominate your competition. You'll master golf in 2 minutes. Okay, that's a super short primary goal, right? But you want to also get this visual goal. So the added homework, which you probably have figured out by now, because I've hinted at it from the moment we started, I've hinted at this. Guess what your added homework is, if you're so willing to do it. And guys, if you're even remotely interested in Copy Pro Academy, you got to do it, is go in there and look at all your primary goals now, and even your secondary goals, and go, how can I make that, at least one version of it, super specific to where it paints a picture that's impossible to misunderstand. And you may use that one time. You may use that in a headline only. You may use that in the middle of a sentence just to get a sheer shock value reaction. But if you want to know what magical headlines look like, this is nothing more. Launch a pinpoint. This is, guys, you should be able to see this right now. Elaine, if you're listening, do you see the formula? Look at this. You can go out tomorrow, and that would fit in any copy. That would be just, you could put that anywhere. You can go out tomorrow and train your dog how to blah, blah, blah. And by tomorrow, if you want to make it universal, and by tomorrow, you can blank. Okay, so that's universal. Launch, that's a verb, right? Primary goal, a pinpoint 230-yard chart with a 3-wood. Okay, I don't know what that means. I have no clue what that means, but I can visualize someone doing it because I'm just, again, I've never played golf a day in my life. But if I said, if you can go out tomorrow and cinch in a rear naked choke and tap out the world's most proficient black belt, and tap out that arrogant black belt that's always wanting to roll with the blues, I know that my audience is going to understand that if I'm writing for a BJJ or any sort of martial arts kind of thing, right? Can immediately cinch an arm bar and, to the point of having having people to the point where you're scared you're going to break it. I'm just going to paint a picture that's really going to be visceral. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but you get the idea. That I think. Tell me if you guys don't get the idea. Answer this. We'll answer in questions because we're gonna have a good 25 minutes for questions today. Okay. Now, again, there's just more and more and more of this kind of goals in here. The goals are laced throughout this whole thing. Okay. Look at this. He works fast. No nonsense. Okay, so these are like, okay, these are all, those are more benefits. Okay, you can test drive it, there's more benefits. But if you're like me and your backswing is getting shorter and shorter because of age, we talked about that before. We've used this exact letter because that is a primary complaint. Okay, backswing is getting shorter. Okay, or that's probably a secondary complaint. You got a stiff back, even arthritis. Those are all secondary complaints, right? But we see what the primary complaint is and how John masterfully uses this inside of inside the ad, but also inside the headline. You know, whack the stuffing out of the ball. What a great way to say this is what they want. That would be another way, Brandon. We were doing this on yours. How do you say the primary goal? You know, launch a 230-yard shot, whatever, blah blah blah. That's a long-winded way to say it. How do you say it short? Whack the stuffing out of the ball. Isn't that better than hit a really long drive?
And he
Yeah,
also knows his audience because they're men. They're not, women don't react to those words as much.
right. So we know that, okay, this is going in a men's golf magazine. So we have no doubt, we know our avatar.
Yeah.
So this is very, very, very important. Can you see now why you have to teach one way first? You got to be choppy. You got to keep it concise, because most of the time, especially in emails, you're going to be concise. But this is now the next level of that. Take your concise parts and expand them. I'm only asking you to do this with one, okay? I'm suggesting that you do it through your complaints, your goals, secondary and primary. I would love to see you do it through all of those, but at least through your primary goal, at least do one. At least come in there and do one. And I want to look at that homework online over the weekend. I want somebody to blow me away. Okay. Now, am I asking you to be John Carlton? No. I'm asking you to be the damn next closest thing to him, because now you know the trick. Okay. You know, the trick is very simple. Hit a really long drive. What's another way of saying hit? What's a juicy verb for hit? And don't worry, we're actually going to put these in Copy Pro here in the next couple of weeks or month.
How about smash?
Whack, smash, you know, blister. I can just think of, you know, just come up with a really juicy verb. And guys, if you don't know the juicy verbs, you can actually Google juicy verbs. You can Google and go to find juicy verbs online. Find a list of verbs. Find a list of like you know, visceral verbs. Okay, we're going to put them again. We're going to have a whole list of them in Copy Pro. That's coming up because we've had some requests for that. But you don't need to you don't have to, don't wait on us. Get this done now. Okay. Just look at the difference between smash, whack, and hit. Okay. It's pretty simple. How can you put a super juicy verb in front of that? And guess what's going to happen when you do? Like, I think it was Britton. I'm not sure if I'm wrong, or it might have been Derek, but dominate, pretty damn good. That's a pretty good verb. That's dominate. You know, dominate. You've got a real visceral look at what domination looks like. If you're dominating something, you're all over it, right? If you whack something, you're all over it. You're all over it. So I want you to say it like that, and then whack the stuffing out of the ball is your short version. Your long version is launch a pinpoint to. So you guys have the assignment. This is literally from Carlton's masterpiece letter here, Off Your Knees golf ad. But this is why John Carlton is John Carlton. This is the main reason why John Carlton is John Carlton, is because he thinks like this. So if you're wanting a blueprint, this is it. I'm telling you what the blueprint is. You start with getting the most concise way you can possibly say something. What is the most concise way you can say your primary goal? I want to dominate email marketing. I want to make more money online. You have to say that. You have to say that. But the thing is, you can't say launch a pinpoint, blah, 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 before you say, I want to dominate my golf game. I want to improve my swing. You must say that first. And then you can say, improve my swing. What's another way of saying improve? You know, what's another way of saying that entirely? What's another way of saying that entirely? Another way of saying that entirely is well, it's not just improving my swing. I want to hit the ball further. Okay, let's say hit the ball further. Okay, what's the next level of that? Okay, hit the ball further. What's another word for hit? Launch, smash. That's what we're doing. I'm walking you logically down exactly how to do this. You go through what's another way of saying it, which is why I got Brendan to go, what's another way of saying that, Brendan? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, what's another way of saying that verb? Now I didn't do it all on this because I knew I was going to teach this. So, so I'm doing this for all of you to see, because I want you to see it not in Copy Pro, but in copy that is sold hundreds of millions of dollars that John has over his career. So amazing stuff here. I hope that you guys get a lot out of this. And by the way, in case you're wondering, a couple people have been saying how much they love the way I'm dissecting copy and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the matrix underneath the copy, as one person said. Yes, the matrix underneath the copy is here. I'm telling you, the matrix underneath the copy is in this machine that we built. Everything that you need for the matrix is in CopyPro. It's literally here. I've given it to you for free, so I'm obviously not selling you anything. But it's all you just go to the niches, you look at the niches, and you look that up. You're going to see the matrix for all the copy right here. It's just here. So all I'm asking you to do now is this is a fake, as you can tell. It's a fake one. It's not. No, I don't do anything with coaching consulting. All I'm asking you to do now is you go through all this stuff and you answer the questions, but you also expand on them now. If I asked you to create something really impressive like that last week, you know, it's like how last week I kind of juked you guys, give you a little bit of a move there. This is the easiest week there is. This is easy. Primary goal, simple. Well, come Friday, it might get a little more complicated, but I'm only asking you to do it once. So I have personally found this is the best way to do something. So just concentrate on one of your goals. You'll have to reword it probably. You'll have to come up with a different wording of it. So one primary goal, I think Sarah would have 10 different versions of your secondary goals. Great, do it with secondary goal. But I want to see a primary goal and a secondary goal, preferably more worded in a way that is, I can't help but miss it. I might not know, I don't know jack shit about golf. I never want to know jack shit. And John Benson could not hate golf more than any person on the planet, and I've never played it, which is funny because one day I might play it and go, holy, well, I don't know what I was thinking. This is awesome. But I've never played it, probably never will. But I know people love it. I'm not bashing people who love it. I just personally don't like it. Like a lot of people don't like, you know, MMA, but whatever. I get that too. A lot of people don't like motocross. But even if I know nothing about, say, auto racing, which I do, but let's say I didn't, you know, nothing about it. I know nothing about like Grand Prix auto racing. If you wrote a visceral, juicy verb version, Carlton-esque version of that primary goal, I would know exactly what it would feel like, even if I don't like it. And that is why I wanted to use this ad, because I don't like golf. And I'm able to see exactly what Carlton is saying. Imagine if I liked golf. Imagine if this was a weight loss offer or a bodybuilding offer or whatever John likes offer. Oh, can you imagine how that would impact me? Yeah, and that's what I want for you guys. That's, and you can, it's all right here. It's all right here in the training. Okay, this is granted. I'm taking you beyond the simple training, and we're going to the next level. Call it semester 2 training. Level 2, we'll call it blue belt training, and we're going to a level of training that's a little bit different, a little bit harder. But I'm only asking you to do it once. All right. So that is the course for today. I hope that you guys get a lot out of this stuff because I love teaching it. We're going to go over and take some questions. And oh no, what am I doing? Wait, I get extra stuff for you today. I almost forgot. The hot tip from Copywriter Telethon. I know that some people weren't able to make the telethon, and some people weren't able to make it, or they didn't know, they weren't able to donate, or quite a few people tried to donate, but it was already shut down. So I made a rule that I'm sticking to this. No matter how much I love you guys, I'm always going to over deliver, but I won't over deliver this. In fact, Leanne asked me this morning. I said no, absolutely not. The reason why is because this was for charity, and not a single penny went to anybody else. And if you missed it and couldn't donate, totally understand and absolutely cool. Love you guys, but no, you don't get the recording because that's not fair to the people that did that. I can't do that. So I hope that you respect my integrity on that one. And I told everyone on the call this for you guys, since you're my students and in classes I teach and in private classes I teach or private consultations, I will teach you the best stuff we learn on that. So I'll get it's the next best thing. And this is one of the best tips that I was reminded of. It's kind of funny because I've done it multiple times. I'm going to show you that 3 of the times I've done it. I do it all the time, but I didn't think of it this way. And it was Chris Haddad who brought this to the forefront. Hot tip. And he actually tested this, and his conversions go up 20% when he does this. Instead of starting a letter with, "Dear friend, if you want to blank, then this will be the most important letter you ever read." That's typical Gary Halbert opening. Now, obviously, Gary Halbert, massively successful. Is there anything wrong with that? No. What I'm saying is start with something in the middle of a story. Paris does this, Chris does this, and I do this, and it's so funny. I do it, and I didn't know it. I wasn't consciously thinking about it, but I went back through and said, where have I done that before? And I want to show you 3 examples of exactly how to do this. It was right then when I knew she had cheated on me, and it was all my fault. Hi, I'm John Benson, and today I'm going to teach you. Now that did not happen to me. That was a character, but that was a letter that I wrote a long time ago. It was right then when I knew she cheated on me. Now, I'll be honest with you, the actual original letter was a lot more rated R than this. I chopped it down to this so we could teach it and not have people freak out over what was originally said, because I knew the market, and I knew the R-rated market was going to be perfectly fine for that. I'll put it this way, it was worse than cheating on me. And it was all my fault. But that's the juicy twist of that, don't you think? Now, you know right now what happened in the middle of the story, but you have no idea why it was all my fault. And again, I was writing for somebody. This is a character that never happened to me, but I was able to instantaneously get inside the head of this character and go, oh my gosh, how would that feel? And to know it was your fault. It's juicy, isn't it? Started a story, the very first line in the VSL. That's how it started. Now, this is a rendition of my current 4-day diet VSL, and we're testing this actual version coming up in the next couple of weeks, as a matter of fact. But I have a very similar version. The version now opens up, a woman screaming really gets your attention, especially when you think she's about to die. That's how the VSL opens up right now for 4-day diet, not 4-day thyroid diet, 4-day diet, okay? Which is could very well be one of the top offers on ClickBank here in a couple of weeks. So we'll see. But she burst into my office screaming. I reached for the phone to dial 911. Her face was turning red. I thought she was dying, but it was even worse than I imagined. I'll tell you what happened to my assistant Sharon in a few minutes, right after I share the dangers of blank. I put blank because it's not important. But you see how this started. So this is the middle of the story. Obviously, something had to happen before this. She burst into my office screaming. What happened before that? This is the middle of the story. And you see this all the time. By the way, Hollywood does this all the time. Hollywood will start a movie or a television show in the middle of the story. And you're like, did I miss something? It's a pattern interrupt, guys. The reason this works is it's a combination of 2 psychological tactics. One, the pattern interrupt. Especially these 2, these are just like in your face, completely like, holy shit, what the hell's going on? Pattern interrupt. The second thing this does is it's a massive open loop. These are both NLP issues. So pattern interrupt, in other words, I'm scratching the surface of your brain by doing that, or I'm opening a loop. I'll tell you that in a few minutes, right after I share. First, I need to tell you, but first, okay, that's opening a loop. But we're opening a loop tactically and grammatically in that second one. The first one's just tactically. I knew it was my fault. Hi, my name is John Benson. I just opened a massive loop without saying, I'll tell you. Now, I actually do, if I remember the letter correctly. I said, hey, my name is, I don't say John Benson. My name was Rick. God, what was Rick Cannon? Rick Cannon was the guy's character's name. My name is Rick Cannon. God damn, what a silly freaking name, but it was great. What a pacing name, right? But Rick Cannon, I think, was the guy's name. But anyway, the last one is, when I looked at her and what she held in her hand, I said to myself, I may repent of this on my deathbed. And I still may, but it took my mother's pain away. Now, that is a new version. That's where we're testing different versions of a new CBD letter that I wrote. And the headline that I wrote for the letter is, I may repent of this on my deathbed, but this took my mother's pain away. Now, that is in the middle of the story headline. And I can't wait. This launches. I'm hoping my friend Caleb gets everything ready to launch this week. If not this week, next week, but we're really excited about this VSL, this particular sales letter for this product, and because the product's amazing. But that's one hell of a good headline, I think, and because it is in the middle of a story headline. I may repent of this on my deathbed, but it took my mother's pain away. What on earth am I talking? What did I do? Sell my soul? Is this a Mephistopheles story? Is this a sell my soul or something? What on earth is going on here, right? But then I turned it into an opening to the story that we're going to test. And this is the opening. When I looked at her and what she held in her hand, I said to myself, Well, who is her? I may repent of this on my deathbed. And the next paragraph is actually, and I still may, but it took my mother's pain away. You just want to know what I'm talking about, don't you? You really want to know. So that's in the middle of the dive. That's in the middle. Okay. So I'm going to share. That's it. That's all I had to share today. So that is the end of the copywriter blueprint today. So we're just going to take Q&A. I hope that this was really awesome for you guys, and we will take questions and answers, and we'll take it for as long as we can. I've got probably 10 minutes. Leanne, we got some questions. Leanne.
Leanne is looking for the question box. Okay, I found it. Let's see. Oh, Tim, not a question, but it's a comment about the John Carlton ad. He said, I first read this ad when I worked for Golf Digest, and I immediately wanted to know who wrote it. That's
First of all,
impressive.
Tim, so sorry about the golf comments. I'm going to take it that you probably like golf. Yeah, yeah, those ads just, and when Carlton was writing those ads, I mean, this was, he's probably 15 years older than me, I guess. No, maybe not that old, 10, 12, 12 I know he's at least 10 or 12 years older than me, but he's from that generation that started 20 years before I did. So he's, because I started way late in life. I didn't start till I was 40. So he came from that David Ogilvy kind of after that generation of writers, certainly Gary Halbert generation of writers, where there wasn't a lot of golf ads at that time. What he's told me, again, I've never read a golf magazine, but his ad stuck out like a sore thumb. And he went through, he's told the story many times about how his customers were like, no way I'm printing this ad. And boy, did they ever, did they ever love it. So, okay, cool. Next question.
See, Derek is asking, does this work for an expanded primary goal or does it need more impact? See your book skyrocket past the competition to the #1 bestseller spot.
Yeah, it needs more impact. Yeah, especially the word see. I'm really pushing you guys on this one. So it's closer. It's not bad. It's not bad, you know. But so I'll give you some hints, watch your phone light up with first name celebrities begging you to be on their talk show as your book skyrockets up to #1 bestseller chart. That's top ahead. You can trim that down even more, but you get the idea. Now, there's no one on the call that can misunderstand what I just said. Now, and I will defend you in saying there's no one on the call that would probably misunderstand what you just said, but what I just said made it even more visceral. So the exercise here is dismiss the whole trim it down stuff, because now is the point where we break the rules. And let me share this. Elaine, you're going to cringe. I love Elaine. I love Elaine. She's such a great student. And also she's like, hey, I'm just learning to chill. I'm learning to let go of my need to find one. Boy, at this point, she's like going, oh no, I let go too soon. But yeah, every single rule and every single thing that you will ever learn in your life there's always a time to break it. And that goes into deep philosophical conversations we won't go into now, but there's always an exception to every rule. And I've had this, I used to be a collegiate debater, and we would have debates on really juicy topics. And one of my favorites that I won handily was there's no such thing as objective morality. And I had to argue, it's a quid pro, so you had to argue both sides, right? So I had to argue in favor of, and I had to argue in favor against, and I won the against. And I won it based on this. I said, name me one thing that is objectively, that is always going to be true. And even the most obscene, horrible things. I mean, this is all mental exercise, guys. It's not what I actually believe. There's logically, there in the real world, in our world, there's things that most of us would consider objectively, morally good or bad. That's not the argument. The argument was philosophical. The argument was, I can always find a place to bend the rule. Always, just with a little creativity. Well, this is so true in getting out of deep conversations, like deep water conversations in copywriting. Wow, is it ever true? Wow, is it ever true? I mean, the VSL broke every rule in the book. No one thought the VSL would work. When Perry first saw it, he goes, "That's the dumbest thing I ever saw." I mean, he literally said, "That's the dumbest and ugliest thing I ever saw." And that's how it got the name the ugly VSL. So Perry Belcher is one of the top guys at Digital Marketer. Perry doesn't think that anymore. Does not have that belief anymore. And it was pretty funny. And Ryan thought the same thing. He goes, how could that ever work? Right? I didn't think it ever worked either. So I was right there with him, but it worked. It broke every rule, but it worked. And it worked because of very strong psychological reasons. And I did break this rule. I broke the rule that I'm about to give you. I didn't learn how to do it right first. I was a really crappy copywriter before VSL came out. So I learned backwards, but I'm weird. So I broke the rule on how to learn. So I'm telling you the rules that I want you to follow. To keep it choppy, super short sentences. You saw John doing the same thing, right? He was doing that with benefits. He was doing that with it's easy. Those are all benefits. He's not going into, it's so easy, you'll feel like you just stumbled off a log. I mean, I'm not talking about everything you do here, but now it's time to expand on those rules and say, now I want you to break it. I want to see you break that rule. And I want to see you do it in a way where you read it and it almost makes you feel guilty. Like what I said about you'll have A-list celebrities with one name, the one name A-list celebrities. How many of them are there? There's Oprah, there's Oz, there's Dr. Phil, which is all kind of a one name. But you'll have one name celebrities calling you and begging you to be on their talk show after your book skyrockets to number one. That's a headline, baby. That just came out of my brain. The only reason that came out of my brain is because we're talking in this concept. Someone mute, please. Leanne, could you please mute? Thank you. The only reason this came out of my brain is because that was in the concept of the conversation. That's the only reason. Well, I am a good copywriter. Okay, I'm not trying to take a thing away from my copywriting abilities, but I've trained my brain to think this way when I'm in this situation. If I'm not in this situation, I'll say watch your weight fall off or something like that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm asking you to do both. So keep going. You're close, and you can't steal that one. You have to write another one. That one's going to be hard to beat, though. But I want you to beat it. And if you beat it, I'll tell you. If I say, I think that's even better. There's no ego here. There's just how to make you better. That's the only thing I care about, is how to make you better. And a lot of my students have surpassed me in letters, meaning that Joshua's letter is, well, I can't say it's done better than any VSL I've ever written. That's the truth, but it's certainly done any VSL that I've ever owned. It's hard for me to write for myself. It wouldn't have done better than Every Other Day Dime, but that would have been like a 20 million a year VSL, but Google slapped it, and so it was down. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, his was 10 million a year in revenue. So it's amazing. So, and he was a student. I'm not the least bit upset about that. There are people that I've taught that have eclipsed me by a mile on specific letters, not overall. I mean, I've written over $1 billion worth of stuff, but yeah, I want the same thing for you to do that. So next question. If I can't tell if Leanne is there or not. I know she's.
I'm here. You asked me to mute.
No, I thought you might have to go to an emergency call or something.
Oh, no. Could you also think like that headline of hit a pinpoint shot, 230 yards, blah, blah. Could you also say, like, if you could wave a magic wand and have the ultimate, like, what your avatar would really, really want in their heart?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what that is. So to help you write these things, if you could think, because I heard another copywriter give that tip of the magic wand and give them the wildest fantasy.
Yeah. Chris did that. And the magic pill, magic wand, by the way, that technique is in Accelerator. I talk about it in Accelerator. I don't remember if I talk about it in Copy Pro video training, but this stuff is all for you guys. It's all in the stuff, okay? I think we're having a technical problem with Accelerator. I hope it's gotten fixed. I don't know. There was I don't know what the problem was, but hang with us if there's something about logging in or something. But the point is that that training's in there. And Chris was really, really awesome for reminding reminding me of that if you were able to snap your fingers and if your client was able to snap their fingers and instantaneously get what they wanted, what would it look like? And pretend that you could give it to them. And you write out Chris's exercise, and he got this from Carlton, was to write out that goal, the primary goal, or the primary, you could write it out anything. You write a benefit, doesn't matter. Write it out as if it were true. It's like, You want to you want to steal a magic pill that once you swallow it, you become immediately better looking and blah, 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 blah. You could just draft this into oblivion, right? You're obviously not going to write that. But the whole concept is how broad can you think? Then you think, how much closer can I get to that than I am right now? Okay, I can't, it's not a magic pill, but what if there's like a magic secret? What if there's a secret? And now you're into Carlton territory, right? You're into that same exact ad. Remember the whole thing? The one secret? Well, that's not a magic pill, but it's a secret. That's the next best thing. And we start walking our way down from that. So if you can want to start, it's a great idea, Leanne. You can start by just taking a pen, piece of paper, and go, if magic pill was available, if I could wave a magic wand, what would it be? You know, for like becoming a best-selling author, it might be magic pill would be like you are instantaneously given your next royalty check from competing publishers, and you've broken the world record for the highest royalty check ever given. It's $100 million pre-royalty, and the Game of Thrones guys wants to make a movie out of it. It's some ridiculous thing that will never happen, right? And then you back off from there and say, well, how much of that could I actually, would they actually really believe? And now you do this more for, by the way, the concept there was more for promises. So bear in mind that, and then we're going to get into a little bit of a twist here, and I don't want to break your brain because next week I'm going to do enough of that. But I want to break your brain right now. But promises and goals are kind of the same thing. They're just worded differently. So John Carlton took a primary goal, and this is the secret sauce. Ready? This is the end of the course today. You might want to circle this 4 or 5 times if you're taking notes. The primary goal I'm asking you to rewrite is one that your customer would never have thought of themselves. But if you said it to them, they would immediately say, give it to me now. They would never have thought, I want to smack the stuffing out of the ball. Maybe that's debatable. They might have thought that. Never would have thought you could drive a 230-yard blah, blah, blah. That's not in their mind. As proficient of a player as they can, they're not waking up in the morning saying, God, I really wish I could smack a 250 blah, blah. They're not thinking that. Okay, which is why, guess what? It's important to say, man, I wish I could hit the shit out of the ball. I wish I could drive. I wish I had power back in my drive, or whatever the golfer terminology is. That's what they say to themselves. So if you're not communicating that, you're off the empathy mark. But then here's the samurai trick, and that's what I'm asking you to do. Now you're going to reword it. You're going to communicate in a way that they would not probably say to themselves. But when they hear it, they're going to go, whatever that is, I want it. And then you just have to bear in mind, you have to communicate exactly in their language throughout, just the way we showed you, the way we've been talking about it. So we built the foundation for the primary goal now. Now is the time to get even better. Cool. Leanne, if we have any other questions, we'll take them. If not, what a great 2 hours this has been, man. Hopefully you guys have got a lot out of this, because there's a lot of good juicy stuff here.
Yeah, we got one question from Elaine.
Shoot.
Who's asking, can you talk about when to use, is a pretty loaded question. Can you talk about when to use stories versus when to use the empathy tack of speaking to your reader's pain? I read a long email yesterday that was a long meandering story, but really held my attention. She only pitched the product in the last 2 or 3 sentences.
Yeah, those stories just, that's a very complicated question, and we're going to get into storytelling. I think, I want to say it's next week, but I don't have the curriculum vitae right in front of me. But bear in mind that people, if you're an engaging story writer, a storyteller, you're going to be able to write stories all the time that people will probably want to read. But I don't rely on that, even though I am. I rely on what I just showed you. I do that more times than I knew. I went back through my old letters and said, oh, I've done that more times than I thought. Which is, when in doubt, start in the middle of the story. And then come back and say, hey, I want to teach you today how to improve your golf swing. So obviously none of what I wrote had anything to do with it, but you get the idea. When to use what, which one? In a sales letter, it's easier to get by with this, or in a VSL, because a VSL is predicated on a story. A VSL demands a story, absolutely demands one. in most cases. There are exceptions, like there are in every rules, but most cases that demands a story. A good sales letter doesn't always. A lot of Halbert sales letters did not have stories. They had mini stories. They had a mini story of like, just like Bob, just like Bob. Bob was blah, 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 and he just tells a story about Bob. So it's somewhat of knowing your avatar and somewhat knowing the interest of how well you write a story is the answer to that question. But it engaged you and engaged to the point of now you want to take an action. When we get into the actions component of this course, which is coming up, we're going to be talking about solutions and actions coming up. That's where we're going to be talking about how do we shift out of that? How do we shift out of that? And by the way, there's some really, really good ways to shift out of that. Like we had a great story. The only letter I dissected on the telethon was a Gary Halbert letter. It talked about the secret of the oldest. It was something like the secret of the oldest person who ever lived, I think is the headline. And it supposedly, I don't believe this for a moment, but supposedly 154 years old and fathered kids at 120 and stuff like that. I think this is Gary Halbert being Gary Halbert. I think Gary's just lying on his ass, but because it was a Wild West. He was not known for always telling the truth about stuff like that, but he was telling a story that got your attention. Who knows? This could be true, and it could be legend. It could be like one of those things he just found. He was really good at finding stories that were like stories of the unexplainable, and like finding these stories that just no one thought were, and he would talk about them as if they were true. Well, he's just reporting the story, so I mean that's clever. It's really clever. But the point is he told the story and then he tied it down. Now, tie down means that you go back to it, a chiasmus. Judy, you know this. You mention something and then you tie it down at the end. That's a very, very rough version of what a chiasmus is. A chiasmus is much more complicated than that, but you're tying down one sentence after the other. I can break down a chiasmus for you guys if you're interested in seeing it. But it is a great exercise to do, by the way. It's a really great exercise to do to see how well it works. So to tie down your story, like if you open a story, Elaine, and you say, the doctor came in and I shook my head in disbelief. And you're just wanting me to finish that sentence, aren't you? I mean, well, was it good? Was it bad? What is it? And you go into say, if you're anything like me, you probably are concerned about your diabetes. That sounds, it's a non sequitur, but it's a pattern interrupt and it works exactly well. So I just told a story that I'm now forced to follow up on. And so that answers the question for you. So you don't have to worry about when do I use this and when do I don't. If you use that technique, you're gonna have to say, oh, by the way, here's what happened to my doctor. If the story could literally be, came in and shook his head in disbelief, your glucose is normal. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. That's the story. That's the entire story. So you don't have to write like a Game of Thrones, thankfully, a Game of Thrones novel. You can write a very short story as well and get by with that. So I write very long stories in VSLs and sales letters. They tend to be long, but they tend to be interesting, and they tend to be like a lot of open loops and stuff like that. So I hope that answered the question, because it's a complicated question to answer. There's not a blueprint for storytelling. There's certainly a good way to tell stories, and we gave some great book suggestions on the call, which I don't mind sharing those at all. I don't know them. I don't have them in front of me. Leanne, you might have them in front of you. Chris gave 2 really good book examples of how to write better stories. And Joshua gave a great tip on how to write closes. I mean, incredible tip on how to write closes. When we get to the close section, we'll go over it more.
Oh,
Cool.
the close stacking.
Yeah. Any other
Yeah.
questions? Any other questions?
We do not. You have blown minds yet again.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad. Hopefully we're blowing minds. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping also that it's landing for you in a way that you can think that, okay, I'm going to marinate on this a little bit, but the only direct homework I want you guys to do, and remember Fridays, this is Fridays, and that means homework. Next Friday, you might not have any. I might say on Facebook, hey, I just thought of something. I wanted to give myself the Fridays and not, and also I don't want to really mess with you guys this weekend. So I get that.
It's a holiday weekend. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, Tim, you mentioned, or Brennan, you mentioned Good Friday. Because it's funny, I used to be a pastor. I never remember when that date is. Happy Good Friday. Anyone, as far as a marketing term, the worst possible name I can think of I've always wanted to ask whoever came came up with the name Good Friday for that Friday was, what were you thinking? It was like, I guess Awful Friday would not have been a very, I get the theological concepts, guys. I'm being somewhat facetious, but Good Friday, not the best name in the world for me, but especially with all the tragedy at the Notre Dame thing. That's just hopefully there's going to be a really special, some beautiful celebrations over the weekend. But if you guys enjoyed the weekend, so please don't let that interfere with your Good Friday or Easter. But that being said, or Ramadan, which is coming up, if I'm not mistaken. I think Ramadan is, what is it, the week
And
after?
Passover. is-
And Passover all the time. I'm just yes, Passover. All these holidays happen at once. I think it's all on purpose. I think it's a competitive thing. It's a, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, I guess, so yeah, do the homework, but don't, kill yourself over it. But that's why I'm only asking for one. But see, if you want to write 2 or 3 versions of it, try. Awesome. If you can just write one, you're way ahead of everyone else. You're way ahead of most copywriters, because if you have one kick-ass way of saying your primary goal in a way that Carlton does, you got a headline that can sizzle, man. So awesome. Get to that, and I look forward to reading your homework on Facebook over the weekend after a much needed break today. And you guys are awesome. I will see you on Monday, and we're going to dive into some cool stuff. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, everyone.